Wouldn't it be good to be good? Wouldn't we all wish our club had more money, a newer stadium, better players and more fans? For most of us suffering football fans, most of that will probably never happen. But there are a few reasons why it's wise to appreciate what you've got and to be careful what you wish for. It's the fans who make football and the fans' experiences that matter. Here in Manchester, one group of supporters has gone from tears to trophies in the space of just a few years. All of us want to see our teams do well, win games, beat rivals and lift trophies. But in the commercialised world of modern football, success comes at a cost. And in recent years, no club has experienced the changes that a rapid rise entails as much as Manchester City. City won the Premiership last year with arguably the best team the league has ever seen. No one could touch them. It's easy to forget that until recently, success lived elsewhere in Manchester. United always used to have it their own way while City struggled. Back in their old ground at Main Road, just as when they first moved to Eastlands, times were tough.
Yeah, it was tough. It was really tough. Every year was tough. And Old Trafford, we never got a win. We were happy to score a goal there. So it was, winning there wasn't really an option.
Fergie was there for 22, 23 years and they had like 20 years of success. You know, we had nothing, we had Stuart Pearce.
For years, Manchester City were just the smaller and less successful neighbours of the biggest and most successful club in the toughest league in the world. Still, there's a certain moral authority that comes with being the underdog.
I don't know, I sort of enjoyed that underdog feeling, and although I was probably, one of the only Man City fans in my year surrounded by Man United fans, it made it even better when we did get that victory over him.
Benjani scored a goal that beat United, and God, I can't remember when it was about 11, 12 years ago, and we got a cap the following day and named it Benjani.
It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was certainly memorable.
Went here about 8, 9 years ago, Stuart Pearce being manager, and from Christmas, literally from Christmas to the end of the season, we didn't score one goal here in the home match.
I was a season ticket holder where we didn't score a goal at home for 4 or 5 months.
When we didn't score at home after New Year's Day.
We didn't score a goal for like 6 months.
Still, as it turns out, we're all rather good at seeing the fun in failure.
All you had really was the moaning and the whinging, you know. And it was actually good for a time, sort of like complaining about City and moaning to my dad every week and every day about how bad they were, and my dad would be whinging and moaning, and it became actually sort of like quite good, just whinging and moaning about City.
A lot of the time, a lot of City fans have a really good sense of like humour. There's this phrase called typical City. I remember walking out the ground after we were 2 up against United, and me and my dad were walking out, obviously. I mean, it wasn't the end of the world, but it was bad. But we just looked at each other and thought, you know, what forgot each other into don't take anything too seriously.
So, the City fans are pretty proud about being able to laugh at themselves. Fair play, if you ask me.
Manchester!
But when you think like that and things finally start going right, it can all be a bit hard to believe. Under Pep Guardiola at City, things really have been going right. But it started a while back with one very special title, one very special goal, and even before that, one very big investor. City's success has been bankrolled by Sheikh Mansour, the Emirati billionaire who bought the club in 2008 and has been pumping money in ever since.
There's a guy stood somewhere around here speaking to a Sky Sports News presenter, and the guy was coming home from work, and the presenter said, have you heard the news? City's just been bought by a billionaire from Abu Dhabi, what do you think? And he said, I can't believe it, mate. He said, I went to work this morning and City was skint. Now I've come back from work and City, the richest team in the world.
We put on BBC 5 Live, and there's this guy on from, I think it might have been Khaldoon on like speaking to BBC, and it was like, oh, we're going to buy someone for 30 million today, and we were all like, 30 million then was like 90 million now. And
Lucky old Manchester City, eh? Still. The fact that Man City have been so suddenly successful presents supporters of other teams with a fairly easy opportunity to wind their fans up. Nobody wants to be known as a glory hunter, especially when that reputation is undeserved.
I can't begin to count the amount of times that we've heard the "where were you when you were" argument.
You can say it.
Well, where were you when you were shit argument that we hear every single team that comes to the Etihad, and every time we go.
Yeah, I mean, they need something to say to us. We used to sing that to United. I said to other big teams in the league.
Now I just laugh at it because we obviously sing back, we were here when we were shit.
But there are some fans who've just arrived. Some people do follow success, and when they follow it all the way to the ground, they don't do the matchday atmosphere any favours.
When you do see the selfies and the tourist half and half scarves and stuff, you presume. So, but that's going to happen. It happens at United, it happens at Liverpool, it happens at all the clubs that are successful.
And you get about 15,000 fans who'll be here tonight who won't come to a Champions League game, so the ground's full of tourists who don't sing. Obviously, they're just taking photographs, who are just there as a one-off, who haven't got the sort of tradition in the history of singing. So yeah, so I miss. That's, you know, going back to your very early question about what I miss. I miss the atmosphere, to be fair.
In fact, it's never much good for the atmosphere when people get used to and start expecting success.
The atmosphere has changed a lot over the years. You sort of sit in the highest stands and no one around you sings, and if you do, everyone's looking around at you like you're a bit of a weirdo.
You're thinking, will this be 2-0, 3-0, 4-0? You're not thinking, will this be 3-2 or could we lose this game? Then yeah, the atmosphere can be, you know, a bit sort of sterile, as I mentioned before.
Years ago it would have been urging the team on. Now it's sort of like everyone just sits back and sort of waits for something to happen a little bit.
The suffering atmosphere, as it happens, might have something to do with the ticket prices, which the club continues, for some reason, to raise.
The club earns millions and millions and millions of pounds, and the ticket revenue is probably a few % of that, so the club don't need to do that, and that's what bothers me a little bit.
There's 30,000 fans here tonight that will be die-hard City fans, that will always come, I think. If they're priced out of the game, that 30,000 becomes 20,000, becomes 10,000, then City as a brand, City as a football club, have got major problems.
While it may never get that bad, match days are already corporate events. Nowadays, it's about far more than watching a game for the love of football.
We've also got the Tunnel Club, which is like on the first tier, and then the second tier, the majority of that's corporate now as well. So it's not great. I mean, it's not the best thing in the world, but in the same sense, I can see why City do it. And
it's sort of part and parcel of football now, isn't it? Where all the big clubs have branding wherever they can and sponsorships because it's extra revenue for the club, and I suppose you just sort of have to accept that as part of being so successful.
If they start to lose their identity, if the corporate hospitality part of the ground gets bigger and bigger, and they start kicking, you know, disabled fans out of this car park to put corporates in there, which they did a few years ago, then you might start to sort of whinge and moan and complain.
More worryingly for City, the oversized Etihad stadium almost never sells out. Success hasn't helped them get seats filled.
if we played in front of, if it was just me in the stadium and we won every game like we did, I honestly would take all the grief. I think every City fan would.
The arguments don't go hand in hand. You can either call us glory hunters or we've got no fans. It can't be both. You can't be glory hunters and have no fans.
And then, as if the poor fans didn't have it hard enough, some club sponsor goes and does something like this.
Yeah, there's some bad stuff that have come out from City, which is just sort of, I've had a bit of grief for.
No comment.
You know what I'm going to say, it's that video. When we won the league, we released a video, I think it was like Etisalat or something, and it was, I'm trying to put it in a nice word, it was horrendous.
Was it that beginning with E, Etis? I've seen it, yeah.
I got grief off all my mates, I felt like giving myself grief. It was painful, but it's, yes, modern football, like I said, so we'll just move on.
Maybe they're not as in touch with the fan base as they like to think they are.
Obviously it wasn't great, but but you got to do these things, haven't you?
It might just be what sponsors do nowadays, but you certainly wouldn't have seen anything as embarrassing as that a few years ago. It's easy, though, to romanticise the past, and it's easy to talk up the virtues of failure. Modern football is modern football, and few fans of other clubs would turn down a chance to experience what the Man City fans are experiencing at the moment.
We've gone from like being an average team, an average yo-yo team, to being the richest team in the world, I suppose, in terms of Sheikh Mansour and the wealth he's got, and spending the most money on players, and having the best players, and having the best team, and now having Pep, and now having this amazing team.
Yeah.
But I mean, who wouldn't enjoy that? You know, who would not enjoy that?
Us being successful and the fact that we're top of the league and playing probably the best football the Premier League's seen is just unbelievable. I would never have thought of that.
If we beat United, we were singing and dancing, and they were saying, so what, you beat us, but we've won the league. Now United fans are doing that to us, so it's great. So, you know, it's brilliant to rub it in the faces, you know.
As soon as I think about that Aguero moment, winning us the league for the first time, I think, how can I ever complain about times where we didn't score a goal for 5 months just because the stadium was a bit louder? Moments like that are what make you so in love with football.
But to see this style of football at your club, you can't believe it. You know, and I say to you, Tom, if you're a Villa fan, if you saw this in 5 years' time at Villa, you would absolutely love it. You know, it's amazing.
And suddenly City's success doesn't sound too bad after all. And it could be far worse. For City, all of this is fairly new and fairly exciting. There are other clubs in Europe on whom success has taken a far greater toll.
Start spreading the word.
But we'll save that for next time.